Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to Black Knight Gaming. We're here today with another priority mission from the BattleTech campaign, the second campaign mission offered on the planet of Smithon. And we're fielding a lance that has only seen combat one other time, an Annihilator, which has seen a couple different drops, and a Thunderbolt and a Dragon that are relatively new, as well as a Shadowhawk that is partially converted into a serviceable punch bot. So an arm mod coming up, plus 60 melee damage, a small laser with two quality I guess for an extra 10 damage, and just two SRM6s for those situations where we're not quite within range to land that punch. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, so we've dropped, and just before we get on our way, let's take a quick look around. So there's a turret generator up here on the left. There's a fuel pumping station, which is what we need to destroy in order to achieve our objective of taking out the nuke range. And there's another turret generator over here on the right, and unfortunately we don't really have many jump jets remaining on this lance, only the Shadowhawk, which is mostly a punch bot. It won't really be spectacular at taking out that turret generator. So a little bit of trouble there potentially. We could get some good fire from the Annihilator if we're willing to come up and around this way, but otherwise we're going to have a little bit of trouble putting fire specifically on that second turret generator. So let's go ahead and get on our way, moving up. We only have 12 rounds, which I think should be more than enough to let us achieve our goal. And let's see, so the Thunderbolt would benefit from being on that lake, so we're going to bring him down, and the Dragon can go up a little bit with the Shadowhawk. My only question at the moment is, do I want to sprint over here and then potentially jump down over on this right hand side? It is a little bit risky. It exposes the Shadowhawk, which is up armored but is still a medium mech, to a bit more fire than I would potentially like, but let's go ahead and do it. So we're splitting up a little bit, which is not ideal. But the amount of firepower we demonstrated during that last priority mission and the last time we used this lance, I'm feeling a little bit confident, at least until we start having all the turrets come up, and this mission has a couple plot twists, I guess you could call it that. So we're going to go ahead and reserve to round 3. Fire coming into the Dragon, but this is part of why we reserve on the first round of combat. Things can see us that we can't see, and the Dragon, just with lots of evasion from sprinting before he took a turn, is going to take a turn to fire, is able to avoid most of that damage. So if we move up here, we can just be within range with those medium lasers and SRMs. And 2 unknown mechs hiding in the back there. And let's go ahead and, unleash a full alpha strike on that commando, really show off the firepower of that Thunderbolt. Not able to rip anything off, but we do get an SRM6 crit, and we land a couple different structure exposed, hanging on there with 3 structure, the only thing between us and potentially an ammunition explosion, which is always a little bit disappointing. But now we can come up this way with the Dragon and fire in, and the AC-5 and large laser should be able to do quite a number on that commando. Really not meant to take a beating from 2 heavy mechs at the same time. And the Dragon will kind of move over here, I think, the next turn, but for right now, let's see, how far can we jump? So if we jump into the Whirlwind, that does give us some cover. It's not quite far enough to have great accuracy on that turret generator, but it's a stationary box, so we don't need great accuracy on it to begin with. And let's go ahead and open up fire with the 2 SRM6s. Wow, okay, so less structure on that generator than I had thought. So in one more round, we should be able to come over here with the Shadowhawk and take that thing out for good. So that's good. That's everything going to code. So for now, we are going to move down here with the Annihilator, and the nice thing is this Annihilator has plenty of ammunition. But even so, I don't really want to build any excess heat if I can avoid it, and I don't really think there's a point to, we have so much ammunition, let's just go ahead and fire. More than enough to take out that light mech, but we don't want to mess around. We don't want to land on the as yet undamaged right leg, or no, sorry, I think it was the left leg. Just better to have it out of the way. So the Annihilator proving once again the benefit of the doctrine of overwhelming force, and we are going to come up and try to jump kind of out of the way. I don't really want this mech to be taking fire, from that Panther, but it would be nice to get into a position where we could potentially punch him next turn. So we will move up as close as possible while maintaining a bit of a blocker. And now we can open fire. Not much structure left on that, but I would feel like a fool if we don't take it out. So firing him with a small laser and with one of the SRM-6s, able to take out that turret generator, take, it looks like 2 different turrets off the field at once. So right now we have 3 mostly, well, it looks like partially unarmored mechs on the field, as well as maybe a couple more turrets. I'm not sure if they activate later or if I just don't have the vision to see them quite yet, and the dragon is taking a bit of a pounding, so not quite what I would like. And the dragon is not the heaviest of heavy mechs, in fact only having as much armor as our up-armored Shadowhawk on a good day, so we do want to keep him out of trouble if at all possible, and I think the plan is now, well, not great accuracy either way, so let's stay on the ice, stay a little bit cooler, and I think we will fire in. So the Shadowhawk has an AC 5, and the Wolverine also has an AC 5. Well, okay, so Wolverine has less armor, which means he's an easier kill. So let's go for the easier kill, especially because we don't have great accuracy, and we are able to land a large laser, expose some structure there. Unfortunately not able to really follow up on it too well, but the dragon now can come up, maybe? Well, let's see. So that gets you a good shot. Doesn't really protect as much as I would like. We could move up here so that we only have the shot on the Shadowhawk. Not really the best accuracy, but I think that'll do for right now, because I mostly just care about protecting this dragon until we get the other heavy and the Annihilator, of course, more into the fight and soaking up some of that damage. So with that, Behemoth will be moving in with the Annihilator, and we are fielding a bit of a B team at the moment. We took a couple pilot hits during the last couple missions that were less than fortunate, shall we say. And now we're opening up with all of the auto cannons, not within range, the medium lasers, but that is enough to take out that mech completely. And now we only have the 2 mechs remaining on the field. It looks like there are 2 turrets over on this side, so if we can take out that turret generator, that would be ideal. We still have 9 more turns before liftoff for the Newgrange, I guess it's called, that dropship. So that is perfectly fine, and I think what we'll do is we'll move over this way and we'll see. So we could fire in at the fuel pumping station, but I don't want to trigger anything there in terms of putting reinforcements, no spoilers, I promise, on the field. Instead we'll open up fire with the twin SRM-6s on the back of that Panther, just prepping him for taking a punch next turn. So the dragon stripping a little bit more evasion. This is why we moved him up out of the way a little bit. And the Thunderbolt, I think, I would really like to get a shot on that turret generator, so I'm almost tempted. Well, you know what, let's reserve to turn 1 and see if we can't kill this Shadowhawk completely with our Annihilator. So we will come in with a Precision Strike for the additional accuracy and just go right for the CT there. Wow, okay, pilot lethal damage, sometimes it does happen. It looks like we landed an AC-10 shell right on that cockpit, which is not exactly survivable. The Shadowhawk, well, I was about to say tanking damage, but rather tanking the attention of one of those 2 turrets, and we could fire in at that Panther. Wouldn't be the worst idea, but I think instead we're going to move up so that next turn we can hopefully get a good line of fire with the Thunderbolt on that turret generator. Should be more than enough to take that thing out of combat completely. And now we can kind of come up this way with the dragon and take our first shot at that fuel pumping station. Putting some decent damage, not really enough to destroy it, but we should be well within the 9-turn limit. So they're protesting that, you know, they're just an innocent little dropship and we shouldn't destroy them because, you know, we'd be big, bad, and evil people if we destroy a civilian dropship. And, you know, that might be true if it was a civilian dropship, but I highly doubt that. So the Shadowhawk coming in with a punch on the back of that Panther, able to core it out completely. I am really increasingly happy with the performance of this mech. It had a bit of a rough start, taking a bit more damage than I would like, and not really able to deliver as much punishment in one go as I was looking for, but you know, I think we've had some better positioning. We've been able to get more into that rear arc, and that has made a world of difference. So that second generator off the board, we now have no remaining Op 4 on the field, and we can just open up again on that fuel pumping station. It will take a little bit more fire. If the Annihilator is able to get within range Yeah, that might do it. The UAC 5, the UAC 2, if everything lands, it should be enough. And that does take out the nuke range, so that was very quick. But we do have an enemy Leopard coming in, Victoria Espinosa. So for those of you who kind of skipped through the first episodes or haven't before seen the story, Victoria is the cousin of Lady Arano and did betray her right at the beginning. So it looks like for some reason we've fallen out of combat, which is always a little bit annoying. And we know where they are, they know where we are. Kind of a bit of a waste of time, and you know, well, it can be a bit of a problem if we're not fielding lighter mechs, and at the moment only our Shadowhawk is moving at a respectably high initiative. So we'll come up here, we'll see if we can get a little bit of cover between them and us for that exposed, well, not fully exposed, but partially exposed Shadowhawk. So there's a Firestarter moving up, taking that first pot shot, which would have happened anyway, even if we hadn't fallen out of combat. So I guess I'm not really complaining too much. So it looks like there's another medium, potentially 2 heavies on the field. And okay, so an AC-10 shell finding the Shadowhawk's left-hand side. I think everything valuable is in the right here, so let's just double check. That's where that arm mod is and the small laser, so that's entirely fine. Taking that shot on that side, and I think we will go ahead and let those heavies come down. So there is a dragon. We actually have our own, and it is, I think, mostly stock at the moment. So you know, we have a DRG 1N there and a slightly damaged DRG 1N here, and a PPC shot coming in from something, probably a Marauder if I had to take a guess. Heavies that like PPCs and you know, are entertaining, and so make it into the story missions. And I think what we'll want to do right now is just move up that Thunderbolt, take a nice precision strike on that dragon. We have a 5% chance to hit the head, but I don't think we'd be able to core it out. You know what? Let's see if we can get fancy. So if we can land the large laser, which we don't, maybe a missile landing? No, okay, so nothing lands on the head. Well, we can always hope. So not within range of the Annihilator, unfortunately, so we have to sprint him up. He will be ready next turn, and the dragon could get a nice shot on that Firestarter, and it's not really a nice shot. Horrible accuracy. So let's see what happens if we get a bit more of a height bonus. We're too far away is the problem. So I think we will take the shot just because we have enough ammunition to make it not really matter on that Firestarter. Unfortunately, we did lose our accuracy bonus from taking the precision strike on the dragon first. We should have done that in reverse order. But now we have the Shadowhawk, and well, let's get a little bit fancy here. So this is a bit risky, but I would like to sprint up around, get 6 evasion pips, still front face, and just get right up in the face of this opposing lance, with the idea being to have enough movement speed next turn to come around, melee something in the rear arc, really have our pick of causing havoc and mayhem up close and personal with this lance. So if we look now, we could in fact melee the dragon. The Centurion's about to move though, and the dragon next, so we will reserve. We'll let that Centurion come down, and now it is tempting to go ahead and try to punch that dragon, because if we're moving on initiative 2, so the Thunderbolt taking considerable damage to the CT especially, where we have a very valuable exchanger, but we still have 138 structure there, and the Catapult is twin PPCs, but even if both of those PPCs hit the CT, we should still have one more turn. So let's come in and let's see if we can rip an arm off of this dragon. And we do. We actually rip off an arm and a torso, give that pilot an injury, and it looks like that small laser even drilled right into the CT for an additional 30 damage. Wow, okay, so the Thunderbolt really taking a lot of damage. What we will do is we'll rotate up around here if we have a good shot with him. So let's see, so if we rotate up around this way, we deny most of the enemy lance their line of sight. We also deny most of our own line of sight, so it is a bit of a mixed bag. So let's go ahead and come up here with the dragon first. And I think we will, well, okay, so drilling into the leg, not the CT. Unfortunately, the CT does still have most of its structure remaining. We have good accuracy on the Firestarter for, you know, what accuracy against a relatively nimble medium mech is, but I think let's go ahead and focus fire on that dragon as much as possible. It's a lot of orange, not quite able to take out that leg, unfortunately. 9 structure, it's just teasing us. And we will come up and just move around here, give our Thunderbolt a bit of a rest from taking that fire, and now we can, well, so the dragon's going to move up, fire in at our own dragon, but you know, let's just one instance of 45 damage coming in from that AC5. Nothing really we can't handle, so let's move up into the whirlwind, I guess. Well, I'd rather keep less of a side angle on that dragon, and let's see if we can just take him off the map entirely. So coming in, decent accuracy with the AC-10s, with the UACs as well. A little bit rusty, well, not rusty rather, but worried about the ammo on that UAC-5. Really only 3 rounds of shooting left before we will only fire one shot, then we'll have nothing at all. So not really the sort of damage concentration I would like there. The dragon is still alive. We have taken care of most of its weaponry, ripping off both those arms. But the fire started coming in, landing 2 medium lasers on the Annihilator. It's there to take that beating though, so I'm not really too concerned. And now we have a bit of a choice. So the Shadowhawk could very well come in, and I think this is where we'll see if he has an opportunity to shine. So getting a punch right in that rear arc, we could just take out a leg, but instead we take out the right arm and right torso from that Centurion, drilling into what looks like the other arm. But my guesses have been bad so far with that small laser. So the Annihilator taking a bit more damage, as to be expected, and the Shadowhawk really just proving how useful something like that can be, taking that AC-10 off the board, and lots of nice damage to that rear arc for next time. So let's see, if we move the dragon, we could take a shot at their dragon, potentially take him out. There can't be much remaining, so okay, so there is, we have a nice shot. If we can hit that leg, that would be very nice. So let's go ahead and see if we can do it. Low chance, and it looks like we don't quite manage it, but that mech is now moving at initiative 1, which will let us come up and around with our Thunderbolt as well, and I really just want that mech off the field. It's being a little bit annoying at the moment, resilient as as heavy mechs are, I suppose, and we don't have the best of all shots, but I think if we move back here, even though it is obstructed, we should have decent accuracy, landing quite a lot of fire on there, and that is enough to core out that mech entirely. So we're getting threats coming in from Victoria, who I don't remember which one she's in. I want to say it's the catapult. It could have actually just been the dragon that we just destroyed. I forgot to check before we, filled it full of lead. My bad there. But let's see. So if we come back over here, yeah, I think this is the plan. So that fire starter is being a little bit annoying. We're going to go ahead and see if we can just core him out in one go with the Annihilator. So landing in lots of fire and taking that medium mech off the board. So this is what the Annihilator excels at doing. It fires enough times with decent chunks of damage that light mechs really can't survive, because even if they have, some evasion chance, which admittedly we had a pretty good chance to hit there, so not really the best evasion chance there, but basically what I'm trying to say is we're able to land enough attacks where we can kind of get through the evasion on some of those lighter mechs. So we rip the other arm off the Centurion, land another hit with that small laser, just really proving to just do wonders right now, and unfortunately take a PPC hit on that Annihilator. And PPCs are just especially frustrating because they not only do high amounts of damage, they also make you less accurate on your next turn, which is just the absolute worst in my opinion. I mean, status effects with big stompy robots is just, well, I'd say not playing fair, but we could well do it ourselves. The drawback is, of course, the extremely high heat, which is, it's part of why it's not necessarily the best thing to field, and I actually do prefer large lasers for that reason. They're far more heat efficient per unit damage, coming in with 40 damage and I believe 18 heat, I want to say, as opposed to the 35, I think, or so heat coming in off of those PPCs. So we are running a little bit hot. Let's turn off one of those medium lasers. Next time we might have to turn off both. But I do want to see, well, okay, so let's see if we can hit one of the torsos with good accuracy to 29%. Yeah, so we'll go in for that with the hope being to rip off one of those PPCs, or at least make it easier for our next mechs to do so. But there was some nice damage reduction on that mech. We do cluster a lot of damage in on that right torso, only 8 armor remaining before it will be running into the internal structure, and I think what we want to do now is go ahead and sprint up and around, see if we can distract the catapult a little bit, and even if we don't, next turn that should make for an absolutely excellent melee attack coming in on that catapult. So yeah, running a bit hot here as well, and well, because nothing is exposed, I think let's take off one of the SRM6s, one of the medium lasers, keep the large laser on, and no dice there. So we aren't able to really focus anything through, rip through the remaining 8 armor here, but let's see what the dragon has to say about that. So we'll move up here, we'll take a shot with the AC-5 and the large laser, and as nice as this dragon is, it is still mostly stock. We're looking for some better weapons in the black market. We'll be doing that kind of, I guess, between drops here for the next couple missions, with the idea being, there are some ultra auto cannons you can get that are, with the exception of recoil, basically straight upgrades to the standard weapons. So we'll turn off the ultra AC-5 because we only have one shot there, turn on the other medium laser. We're just able to manage that heat, and we'll focus all of that again on that right torso with the idea of ripping off that arm if at all possible. So we crit the PPC. That right torso must be hanging on by just the barest of threads, which is kind of annoying. No, okay, so no damage on that. Just eating my words here tonight as I make this episode. And instead we open up both of the arms. So that right arm is carrying the PPC, and we don't really have a shot on it or a punch because the catapult did move aggravatingly far away. But we do have both of the SRM6s within range on the exposed structure of that left arm. So hopefully we'll be able to take out the PPC either through crits or anything else, and no. Wow, I am just not really batting 1,000. So let's go ahead and move up the dragon. Well, that's inside the minimum range, so we'll move a little bit less far and open up with the AC-10. No expectations at this point on this catapult, which has just been scattering damage in all of the worst ways for us. And let's see what we can do here with the Thunderbolt as well. So now we're really getting to the point where we're just absolutely cooking these mechs. And I don't think it's worth doing a precision strike. Let's just come in with the large laser, able to take off that right arm. That's one of the PPCs down. And that catapult will have a chance to move before we have our chance with the Annihilator to return fire. So the PPC luckily misses. We're getting to the point on that Thunderbolt's armor where that PPC could well tear through it. And let's come up and around. Do we have to move? No, we don't. So by not moving, we save a little bit of heat, not much, but some. And let's turn off one of those medium lasers. So coming in with severely reduced firepower now from this Annihilator. This is a bit of a hot biome compared to some of the polar biomes that we've been trying to hit with this lance, because heat is a bit of an issue for us at the moment. So the Shadowhawk coming in steals the kill and is able to knock Victoria Espinosa out of the fight. So that'll be the mission. We'll be right back with the mission reward screen.
Mission successful.
Alright, here we are. So 2 million C-bills, that's quite a nice payday. No real damage on our lance. Again, this warning is because our Shadowhawk is a little bit under tonnage. We maxed out the armor and we just have this awkward amount of tonnage because of that small laser only coming in at half a ton, where I don't really want to lose any armor to put on another medium laser, but we're going down a bit of a rabbit hole of discussion there. We can rework this mech between missions if needed. Okay, so Catapult K2 is definitely good salvage, not really the most pieces here. We have a dragon. I've been looking forward to potentially getting a fire starter. I think we will take that piece. Let's see if there's anything nice. So the flamer, well, no, I don't think so. I'm not the biggest fan of flamers. The heat damage just doesn't seem to add up as quickly as boring a couple of small lasers into the back of something. Really just contributes to killing that mech quite a bit faster. So just for the value, let's take the catapult part. Let's take the Shadowhawk to complete our own Shadowhawk here. We already have 2 out of 3 pieces, and between the Wolverine and a second dragon, I'd actually rather take the Wolverine part. Very solid medium mech there. And yeah, we'll be right back with another mission. Alright, so we're back with an assassination mission on the tundra at Mector. So we did travel to a different planet, one with a very nice black market, and we've actually secured a second arm mod for the Shadowhawk. So now we have 2 plus 60 melee damage arm mods on the Shadowhawk, as well as a gyro that gives us plus 2 melee hit. And if we check this full bar down here, the Shadowhawk will be punching for a grand total of 205 damage all to one location, which should be able to rip right through basically anything it hits, up to and potentially including damaging the internal structure on some larger heavies and lighter assault mechs, especially with the potentially slightly down-armored versions that are the stock variants, as opposed to the monsters that we create ourselves with things like an up-armored Annihilator. So without any further ado, let's jump right in. Alright, so we've dropped in, and the Taurian spy is all the way on the other side of this map, and the supporting forces are quite a bit closer to us, but they are on this hill, which will give them a significant height advantage as the battle begins. So I'm a little bit worried here. This is a 3-skull mission, which is harder than anything we've really taken to date, and taking that for granted is a quick way to start regretting it. So we do find one unknown mech on sensors, and as is my habit, we will let them come to us on the first round of combat. So reserving, looks like 1, maybe 2 heavies. That is a Thunderbolt, so opening up fire on the dragon and missing. Our first priority, I think, will be just putting the full weight of fire of our lance right on this Thunderbolt's head. Try to take it out as quickly as possible, and we will start off with the dragon. It has the most mundane armament, and we're moving up so we get 3 evasion pips. Not the best, not as good as the sprint, but pretty respectable for a heavy mech. And they don't really have as much of a height advantage as I had been really fearing coming up here on the very top, but this mech here will have some very nice accuracy bonuses, and by very nice, I mean very nice for them and very unfortunate for us. So let's see, if we move the Annihilator up here, yeah, okay, so coming in with first the Thunderbolt, then the Annihilator. We are able to land most of our armament with pretty good accuracy. The SRM's a little bit on long range, I think. Yep, long range +4 shot modifier, which is why they're down at 70%, but the large laser especially having that sweet 90% hit chance, and wow, okay. So it looks like we get a lucky ammo explosion on one of the legs of that Thunderbolt, able to take it out in one go. So now I think the plan should be, okay, so the Shadowhawk can sprint up here, get vision on this mech, figure out what that is. It's a catapult C4, so that would be the 2 LRM-20 variant, 2 small lasers, deadly at long and short range from those LRMs, and that vision is enough to get us line of sight. Horrible line of sight, but line of sight nonetheless with the Annihilator. And we have to keep in mind we were running a little bit low on ammunition last time, so I will save the UAC-5, just coming in with 2 AC-10 shots and the UAC-2 on this particular volley. I just want to save the Ultra AC-5 for things where we have a bit of a better chance. So we do open up some structure on that catapult. Looks like, yep, left torso, and that is a prime spot for additional ammunition explosions. We aren't able to reach it for a punch, but we could come in for an SRM-6 barrage. Because that would also move this down to Initiative 1, which would let us come in with, well, these 2, but not the Annihilator, so not really where it counts. I think we will just stay for right now. We do have 4 evasion pips, now down to 3 on that Shadowhawk, and that is able to dodge most of the missile fire coming in from that catapult, and it was stupid enough to move closer with that ace pilot. So we do have a punch on it now, but we'll save that for the moment. I want to see, okay, so we don't have a great line of sight there. Let's let this other mech come to us just a little bit more, and now we do finally have line of sight on this mech as well, moving up the Thunderbolt to see it. That's a quick draw. Okay, so let's do a precision strike on that quick draw. 5% chance to hit the head, and just because I really want one, let's see if we can do it. Nope, doesn't look like that's enough, and instead we expose structure on maybe one of the arms or torsos of that mech. And let's see, so what's moving now? It should be just the spy. We haven't had reinforcements come in yet, which is a bit nice. This is a 3-skull mission, so I had kind of expected reinforcements, especially because, this lance is partially damaged. So let's go around the back, see if we can land that 205 melee damage all to one place, and that is more than enough to rip off the right arm and right torso. And the small laser coming in as backup, we are able to core out that mech all in one go. Now granted, this was a damaged heavy mech, but it was a heavy mech nonetheless, so I am very happy with what that second arm mod is able to help us achieve. So Archangel does have a shot, not a great shot, yeah, but he does have a shot, so let's go ahead and take it. Again, saving that UX5, well, no, let's use it, because the reinforcements, if they are coming, aren't on the field yet. They may not come, and we have, 15 shots, now down to 13. That's 6.5 volleys with that AC, well, Ultra AC5. So that is enough to knock down Quick Draw, and we should be able to pile in lots of firepower on that mech this next turn, able to hopefully take that thing out for good. So long range with the SRMs, because the Quick Draw is knocked over, we do still have pretty good accuracy, and I don't really care too much about saving it. We aren't able to rip anything off anyway, so it's a bit of a moot point. But now we'll move up with the Thunderbolt and just, well, unleash hell, as they say. So going in for a nice quick core, and we are able to get it. So we should fall out of combat now. I can't imagine we're close enough. We don't even have the spy on sensors. Yep, so we fall out of combat. A little bit annoying, but, you win some, you lose some. And the dragon moving up, can we get sight? Okay, so we have sensors on that mech, and we should have excellent accuracy firing down at it, but I do want to see potentially about getting the Shadowhawk down on its level. So we're going to cut across diagonally here, and then jump jet down, if at all possible, to that mech. So let's go ahead and reserve and reserve. Okay, so that might be why there aren't any reinforcements, is it looks like that's an assault mech, which is a little bit scary. So let's see, we aren't able to get any sight. Let's move up the Annihilator. I don't really want to go through that geothermal, but, only sinking 50% normal heat shouldn't really be an issue for us, at least for a round or two. It will activate next round as well, which is most of my concern. Let's go ahead and get one more round in where it can't see us. So, a little bit gamey perhaps, but such is life. And sprinting the Thunderbolt up, so next time we're going to see if we can get all three of our shootier mechs, I guess you could call them, lined up on that ridge. And for right now, let's just sprint the Shadowhawk down here. That should be enough to start hopping down off this ridge next turn, and just be a little bit gamey again, deny him a shot. So he's moving quite a bit closer, and we still don't have a shot with the Annihilator. We do with Thunderbolt, so we'll move up here and we'll take it. So that is a Cyclops CP-10Q. I am really regretting taking this mission for the money rather than the salvage. So we would at least have gotten one Cyclops part, and that Cyclops part is worth well over 1 million C-bills, so that would have been definitely worth it. But let's go ahead and come in. There's no real sense in using a precision strike, but we have so much, resolve, we may as well go for that nice clean headshot if at all possible. We aren't able to get it, and we do a smattering of damage, but this is, I think it is a good thing that we're trying to come down here with the Shadowhawks. We'll land right in front. A bit risky, but we will be able to move before the Shadowhawk next turn. We'll let him up with the small laser and the SRM-6s. He is in cover. Looks like he has maybe 40%, 50, potentially even. So, okay, so that is, we can do this math. So it's guarded for 20, that's cover for 20, and that is forest for 20. So 60%, 60% damage reduction on that mech. That is impressive. So let's come down here with the Annihilator, and I didn't go up higher because I don't want to be outside of the range for those medium mechs. And let's move the Dragon, well, yeah, let's get as much height as we can. The AC5 and the large laser, not the most firepower on this mech. I am looking for a nice Ultra Autocannon 5 to replace the single on this Dragon, just get it a bit more firepower. And, well, so much as I said I'd like to move, I want to get that Cyclops away from being guarded, and I think Decker can survive one hit. So let's go ahead and reserve, let him move a little bit away. We might miss a rear arc punch for that, and it looks like he does get cover bulwark again. Okay, so 40% damage mitigation rather than 60%, so that is a definite improvement. Let's go ahead and come in and try to punch. We won't land all 200. Oh, so we do. Okay. It might have been a damage calculation error there, but we are able to rip off one of the arms on this Cyclops, and the Dragon now can come down and take that nice side angle shot in at that CT. So if we had better salvage on this mission, I would be caring a little bit more about trying to take it out with a leg, but as is, well, no sense not to. But again, we have 0 salvage rights on this. I think we get 0-3 So even if we are able to take good salvage off of the Cyclops, it wouldn't really do us any good. So let's go ahead and just try to kill it as quickly as possible. We are able to expose structure on that center torso. I'm kind of surprised we weren't able to kill it with that. And let's just see if we can drill right through with the Thunderbolt. Quite a nice array of laser weaponry on that, if I do say so myself. And that is able to kill the Cyclops, and that's the mission. We'll be right back with the mission reward screen.
Mission successful.
Alright, here we are, 1,000,000 C-bills, which, that's why I took this one for the cash. And no real damage to our lance. Some good experience, and we do pick up a Thunderbolt part, which is nice. Not able to take that 90-ton Cyclops part, but, such is life. Alright, so we're back, and we did actually get the next campaign mission unlocked, just chewing right through those. I think we will pursue it. After all, we have a decently heavy, decently capable lance, but before we do that, I just want to show you what I'm talking about here with the Cyclops piece. So if you go into the black market, which really truly is just a great boon to our campaign experience here, we go into the black market and into the mech parts available. There are actually, Cyclops 10Q, 1.3 million C-bills. So just that one part, if we did want to build this mech, would have been more valuable than the 1,000,000 that we got from the mission reward. So as it stands, I think we'll do a couple more missions, maybe one more episode, doing a couple missions for the cash, see if we can't pick up something else valuable from this black market. We actually, before the mission started, I picked up an ultra autocannon from the weapons here in the black market, and I picked up something else too. I'm actually kind of blanking at the moment. Oh, right. The second arm mod. So not the best selection here in terms of weapons and equipment. And this targeting system, as nice as it is, it's very expensive, and we don't really use missiles that much as a lance right now. And I guess just if I had to talk through the reason for that, I started off, when I first started playing this game, I really loved just going in with LRMs and just more and more LRMs, and so I would have jumped right on this targeting system. But I've kind of become a bit more of a fan of lasers and autocannons as time has gone on, particularly ultra autocannons, because, what's better than one autocannon than an autocannon that takes 2 shots at once, so effectively 2 autocannons jammed into the same weight and slot. But my reasoning here is basically, as nice as it is to have reliable damage, which is what missiles achieve, right? Because if you have a 50% chance to hit, but you shoot 20 times, expectation value, roughly 10 of those missiles should land every time. You do get stability damage. It's so hard to take things down with pinpoint damage, to really chew through armor in specific locations, that autocannons and some of the heavier lasers have just proved their worth to me over time. So with that said, I think we will wrap up the episode here. If you like what you've seen, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll be right back with the next campaign mission. Thank you all for tuning in.